Hello and welcome to day 63 of Dungeon 23. Today we're going to be doing a room that doesn't have a combat encounter in it or really a trap, but kind of a puzzle. More so, it's very similar to the ghost in the previous level, where in any other scenario, it would be very obviously like environmental storytelling. But because the nature of the dungeon is that everything here was artificially constructed and set up by a crazy evil wizard, it kind of the opposite happens where it's fake environmental storytelling. And I'm going to sketch out the room and then I'll further explain what I mean by that. Alrighty, very small room, not much in it. In fact, the only thing that's going to be in it is a little statue. Well, not a little statue, but a statue. Noticeably different from this one here. And let's go ahead and lock this in place, as we always do, because this one is going to have information with it. Lock position, and set dimensions. Set. So what is so special about this statue? Well, my idea is that the statue appears to be not like a normal constructed statue like the ones that you've seen in the dungeon so far, but more so, it appears to be a petrified person. And that is because the statue actually is a petrified person. And how this person got petrified and what the purpose of that is, we're going to go into now. Alrighty, so this is basically all of the lore and how this puzzle functions. Well, not puzzle, yeah, kind of puzzle. The statue is actually a petrified human adventurer. Actually, let's change that to adventure, because that's not what he actually is, just a petrified human. In his left hand, he holds an unpetrified piece of paper. The paper has a crude drawing of a snake-haired woman, obviously a Medusa for people who have meta-knowledge, with the words "avoid eye contact at all costs" written on it. We're not actually going to put a Medusa on this level, but we're going to get to it, and eventually. Maybe not in this episode, but we're going to... something fun's going to happen with that. A DC 14 investigation check to realize that this statue is actually a person who is petrified, and realize that it's not just a statue. I mean, it does look to be a person who is, like, cowering in fear, but this investigation check just to realize that the stone's too smooth. And, you know, if you're like a dwarf and you have that ability where you have advantage on checks for determining stuff with stone, or if you have like stonecutter's tools or mason's tools, that could also be used here. Just a fun little way of getting players who have these unique ribbon abilities that they don't get to use very often, letting them use it, you know. And a lot of puzzles in D&D games, and especially in modules, which is annoying because that's Wizard of the Coast making them, doesn't make a whole lot of use of the ribbon abilities or the, you know, player tools. It's annoying, but what are you going to do other than make your own stuff, which we're doing. So the other thing you could do is with a DC 14 Arcana or Religion is to identify that thing as a Medusa. You know, the thing that if you look at it, you get petrified. And on top of that, a DC 16 Arcana / Medicine to know that when something gets petrified, you know, as the DMG says, and also the PHP, as the status petrified says, everything you are carrying is petrified. That isn't magic. That means that the note wasn't in his hand when he got petrified, and that's just like a big red flag. Like, hold on a second. So someone put it in his hand after the fact. So he's not early adventurer. He was. Why did he have this note? It's weird, and that's the kind of hint to the fact that this thing is a setup. And this is the actual proof of that. If a party member has the spell Flesh to Stone, which in case they come back later, or if they get it later, casts Identify on the statue. Again, you want to give uses to this spell Identify, because it's just treated as a thing that just lets the DM just give the players meta knowledge for how a magic item works, which is fine, but also it's not really used as a problem-solving solution to puzzle-getting spell that it is. So if they cast Identify in the statue, or if one of the party members passes a DC 18 Arcana check, they could determine that this person was not petrified by a Medusa, and that he was actually subject to a Flesh to Stone spell, like, as I said earlier. So the way Flesh to Stone works is that it's a 6th level spell, and what it does is, you cast it on a person, it is concentration, and if they fail a save, if they pass a save, nothing happens, obviously, because it's a pass save thing. But if they fail, then they are restrained. And then for the course of the minute that, it's going, is the duration of it, they have to keep making saves. If they fail 3 saves in total, doesn't have to be in the row, just in total, then they are petrified permanently. And it only goes away if the petrification effect is removed with them from any other ways. I'll get into a bit down further. And of course, if they just succeed, then they're still restrained. And then when the spell is over, then they are no longer restrained. Now, it's very obvious once the players put all the pieces together that this was just a guy who was petrified by the wizard, the wizard who made this place and set everything up, to just make it seem like there's a Medusa on this floor. And that kind of lets the party think, maybe there's not a Medusa on this floor. And going down a bit further is our last bit here. Casting Greater Restoration, which the party isn't going to have access to at this point, but as with having the Flesh to Stone spell, if the party could always, come back to a higher level, or not higher level, but higher. It's higher in that it's closer to the surface, but it's lower in the sense that it's lower numerical value, but they could come back to this level later on, and then cast it. Also, Dispel Magic, which is a 3rd level spell, which again they don't have, but if they did hold on to that Dispel Magic scroll from the 1st level, then they could cast it. And because Stone to Flesh is a 6th level spell, they can either cast it at 6th level, which they don't have, obviously, or they can make a DC 16 spell attack, because it's very similar to how Counterspell works, where if it's below 3rd level, if a spell is below 3rd level, then it just succeeds. But if it is higher than that, then you have to pass a DC 10 plus the level of the spell attack, and then if it succeeds, then it's dispelled. Similar to how it's counterspelled if you're casting counterspell. And something that always bugged me is that Remove Curse doesn't have this same caveat. And on one hand, that'd be fine if Remove Curse wasn't a higher level, but also Dispel Magic and Remove Curse are, and as well as Greater Restoration, they're all kind of do the same thing for the most part. So it's kind of annoying, especially considering how the spell Curse isn't very good, because it doesn't last long enough. I think when you first get it at 3rd level, it lasts a minute, and once you have to get all the way to 9th level for something to be permanent. So that means that every cursed item, every curse like Lycanthropy and Vampirism, depending on how you look at it, the curse of the Medusa, where it petrifies upon looking at itself, all those curses had to have been 9th level, and I think it kind of diminishes magic a bit, that these spells that are supposed to be very powerful can't actually do what you think they would be, or can't. I get the purpose of avoiding having permanent magic at low level, and I think that's a problem D&D has just by virtue of it being, a high fantasy setting where it's not brutal, it's not grimdark. D&D 5th edition is extremely forgiving. And when I make my video about pulp, gonzo, grimdark, OSR style of magic I want to develop, or not develop, but use based on several ideas I got from different YouTubers and bloggers and people who talked about it on subreddits and stuff like that, I will talk about making magic permanent lower levels work a bit better, and making magic feel more better, just more intense and powerful. But that's all besides the point. The important thing is that this very powerful wizard turned this guy into stone for the sole purpose of making the party, or well, any party, think that there's a Medusa on this floor when there isn't. And that, of course, you could save this guy with, any of these greater restoration, dispel magic at high level, or any other similar magics. Like, I mean, Wish is kind of excessive, but, that idea. And don't even get me started on how so many effects and curses and spells say only Wish can. Like, I think Wish is kind of this weird thing where it's the most powerful thing, but it also kind of sucks if you think about it. But that's going to be a whole different topic. The other thing is going to be the information about this guy himself. The guy's name is Carl. Just some guy. He'll explain that he doesn't know how he got there, and that the last thing he remembers is that he was just working in a field. He's not even an adventurer. He's just like a farmer. He was just working in the field, probably like harvesting, some dirt farmer harvesting crops or whatever. And then out of nowhere, just a big poof of smoke appears. Big pink or purple puff of smoke. Bunch of glitter happens, and this weird random old guy with a very pointy hat shows up and shouts Razumafu, and then that's the last thing the guy remembers. Because the wizard's name is Razumafu, as we've said, I think in the first episode. It is also like a magic word, just generic magic word. And I can't remember where I got that from. I think maybe Adventure Time? I don't know. It's been years, but I just had that name burned in my head, so I've been using it for random wizards. Anyway, what's important is that this guy has like no idea what's going on. And I don't have like a date planned for the events of this game because that's not the point of it. The important thing is that just you can make up a date or time, whatever, and it's just real that Carl has been stuck down here for 75 years, and he's gonna be really upset. Maybe use some calm emotions to get him to calm down a bit. But eventually, when he calms down, he's gonna be asked to be taken, to the surface, and he's just some random dirt farmer. He doesn't have anything to offer the party, but he'll just say good luck and best wishes and thanks for saving me, but I have nothing to give you. Just something to give the party an opportunity to help. Just some random guy, kind of like the other lost adventurers, which is going to be another lost adventurer down here, but maybe he's hiding from the Medusa. Anyway, so here's our guy, our fake Medusa victim. Well, he's a real victim, just of a fake Medusa, not a real Medusa. Something petrified him, and it wasn't the Medusa, and wanted to make it seem like it was Medusa. And it's going to tie into... I said I didn't want to do a wandering monster, maybe? But I am going to be doing a wandering monster. But it's not going to be as intense as the other two. As you could kind of tell, there's something sneaky going on here. And we'll get to that sometime. And hopefully I don't forget about it, because it's a really funny idea. And I don't want to spoil it, but it's going to be fun. So, this is day 63. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense. Comment down below what you think the funny twist is of the thing. And, yeah, I apologize for the poor quality. It's not going to get any better.